Hello, I'm Carolyn Herbert for the Finance News Network, and joining me from aerial imager provider Nearmap Limited to discuss its annual results for FY 2015 is Managing Director Simon Crowther. Simon, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you've just announced your full year results for FY 2015. What were the highlights?
Well, really, we're a growth story. We really tell the two areas of our business, really, which is our ongoing growth in our Australian business and our international expansion for the first time into the US market. And we'll really focus on the Australian business for a moment. It's really the thing that powers all our international expansion efforts because we build a very cash-generative and high-margin business here in Australia. And I think the highlights for me have been really the continued strong revenue growth inside the Australian business. Our subscription revenues increased year on year by 32%. Largely supported by high renewals. We are a SaaS-type subscription business model, so retaining our customers is very important to us. It's very pleasing to see this continued high renewal aspect of our business that really supports our growth and increased revenue from existing customer base in Australia. I think also a very high and stable gross margin to our business as well. Gross margins overall increased by 88% year on year, which is very pleasing, and increased profitability as well in the Australian business. Gross profit increased by 36% to 20.7 million Australian dollars. So overall, we would think ourselves as being a growth Australian story, which allows us to be able to increase our international footprint and step offshore for the first time into the US market. And there again, that's a tale of a startup business over there. We're really focused on execution, working within a very disciplined cost base. It's very pleasing as well that toward the end of the last financial year, we're also able to sign our first US customers ahead of our own kind of expectations as well, which is great.
And Simon, what drove the improvement in gross margin?
Really, it's just the maturing of the Australian business. As a subscription business, revenue recognition for us means that there is a lag between the amount of money that we spend in terms of marketing and the new business that we bring into the company and how we recognize revenue as well, but also the investments that we made over time in terms of R&D and engineering. These are all starting to really support the increased growth and margin inside the business, particularly as we are very cost conscious and always looking to increase our performance around cost minimization and cost management. So overall, it's a number of factors, but we did set out a couple of years ago to grow and build a high margin business, which is automated systems as much as possible, outsourcing, buying rather than building when it comes to engineering tools and applications. So overall, you can continue to see growth in the margins in the years to come as well, which is good news.
And looking at Australian operations, how have your customer segments in Australia performed?
Very, very strongly. So we're very pleased. We know the sectors where we believe we have great competitive advantage and focus. We've always been a business that's been very focused on where we believe market opportunity is. I think it's important to emphasize that we have created a new market from scratch over the years for spatial and aerial data that didn't exist before. We're the only company offering aerial imagery on a SaaS-type business model that I'm aware of, at least in the Australian market, and also in the US market as well. So we've really created a market from scratch. And in that, we've had to price from scratch as well, create a product portfolio from scratch, and also understand which of the sectors and verticals in the Australian market really lend themselves to our business proposition. And so we've seen strong growth across our core sectors of government, not just growth in terms of new customers, a new annual contract value, which is a key KPI inside our business, but also taking increased revenue from customers from inside sales. So the stability of our existing customer base is very key to our future growth strategies as well. So building that inside sales capability, going deeper within our existing customer base, increased penetration, taking more ACV and revenue from our existing customers is all part of our growth strategy. So I'd say the government, a really core part of our business strategy in Australia, but also construction and engineering, solar, insurance, real estate, all the core sectors that we're focused on perform very strongly for us.
And Simon, where did you experience the greatest growth?
I'd say overall, we haven't broken that down specifically for the market, but I'd say anecdotally that construction and engineering for us in the Australian market is such a vast industry here, a vast sector, both large enterprise organisations and also SMB aspects to it as well. But I'd say that's a big area of focus for us, a big area of development as well. So I was very pleased to see our continued growth and penetration into that particular sector and vertical as well last year.
You've expanded into the US and made first commercial sales ahead of guidance. What were some of the significant milestones achieved there?
The first thing was really less than 12 months ago, was to demonstrate to the market that our IP, our intellectual property, scaled outside of Australia. To that point, obviously, we'd only been operating in the Australian market. So putting in place the key supply chain to allow us to be able to scale was a very important aspect to our learning, particularly around the scalability of our own intellectual property, which will really power and underpin our moves into other markets as well, as and when the timing is right. And so the key thing for us as a content business, as a publisher, was to be able to get our initial content in place to be able to demonstrate the capabilities of the business in the United States. So we focused on the first 6 or 8 months of really starting to do some very consistent surveying work in the United States. Our focus is on urban population and population density rather than capturing large areas of nothing. So we really focus on the main cities in the United States, and in really the last 12 months we've updated all the main cities multiple times. So our coverage at the moment stands at 160 million people in the United States. We capture the largest 7 cities over there up to 6 times a year, and the other remaining large cities up to 3 times a year. So significantly more updates than anybody else. And really, the population over there is so huge compared to the Australian market that we're very excited by the business potential being able to now monetize all the people that sit within that footprint. So 160 million captured successfully in the United States is one of our key objectives when we started this. And now we're going back for, really coming up for year 2, the start of year 2, to going back and recapture all those people as well. So really scaling the supply chain was important, and putting the sales organization together from scratch was also the key objective for us as well. So completing all of that well within 12 months, and also signing our first paying customers was a big achievement for our business and everyone involved.
And how would you describe the market landscape for global aerial imaging, and where does Nearmap fit into this?
Well, we've long had an aspiration to be something more than just an aerial surveying business. Really, the medium and long-term strategy for Nearmap is to be what we call a visual analytics business. So we have some world-class intellectual property around our capabilities to capture maps. That's always going to be part of our R&D and continued investment. In fact, we made a very important announcement to the market a month or so ago when we announced that we've got our next generation systems about to be launched, and also some key US patents to protect our IP as well, which is also a key part of our strategy. So we continue to invest in our R&D around our core IP, which is an important part of our business model. And then secondly, really, I think, continue to focus on people and resources and execution, and really become more of a marketing-led organization as well, knowing who our customer is, going deeper, developing tools and applications for specific sectors and verticals. That's a key part of our strategy going forward. So becoming more and more integrated in the value chain rather than just being an aerial surveying business. The market for aerial surveying at the moment is around $1 billion globally. That's looking to increase significantly in the future years and become a multi-billion-dollar on the market landscape over there. And we believe we've got a significant opportunity not only in Australia to continue to grow our business, but also in the United States and beyond the United States as well. So we really want to be an international business. We're putting the basic building blocks in place. We have a cash generative and highly profitable operation in the Australian market. And that's really fueling and powering our future growth aspirations as well. So it's a combination of continued R&D, becoming a marketing-led organization, understanding our customer base increasingly more and more, and looking to scale into markets where there is little or no competition.
And finally, Simon, what's your outlook for FY 2016?
Well, we gave the market some guidance a couple of years ago now, which is quite a bold statement by myself, where we said when we were roughly around about 5 million in revenue that we wanted to be a company in Australia that had between 30 and 50 million of revenue run rate by December 2015. We narrowed that guidance as part of our update to the market a few weeks ago, and we're now forecasting that we're going to be somewhere between 28 and 32 million revenue run rate by December 2015. And that's a very pleasing performance for us as a business. We're very satisfied that we're on track. We've also given the market some aspirational guidance for what we hope and expect the US business to be by the end of 2017, which again is 30 to 50 million in revenue run rate. That's an aspirational target for us. We're putting in place all the systems and all the people to allow us to be able to do that. So the business is on track. The Australian business continues to grow. We have some exciting opportunities ahead of us in the United States.
Simon Crowther, thank you for the update.
Thank you very much for having me.